Welcome to the eSales Podcast, your ultimate guide to mastering the art of online selling. Whether you're an entrepreneur, business owner, digital marketer, or sales professional, this podcast is the passport to dominating the digital marketplace. My name's V, your eSales navigator. Join me as we dive into the latest strategies, tools, tactics to help you automate and conquer the world of online sales. Get ready to boost your online sales game and unlock your full potential. Let's dive in. Okay, hello and welcome everyone to the eSales Podcast. Today we have Bryony here from Bryony Makes Marketing Easy. And as you can tell just from her tagline, just from her business name, it is all about marketing and keeping things really easy today. She knows marketing and business well with a career of sales and marketing with 25 years under her belt. So I'm really excited to kind of hear what you have to say, Bryony, around keeping things simple, getting things done. And so just want to say thank you and welcome.
Oh, thank you so much. It's great to be here, and I'm really looking forward to this conversation.
Yeah, so am I, and so is the crowd. But before we get started with your introduction and who you are, maybe could you explain maybe one thing that people don't know about you?
Well, about 10 years ago, I did an Ironman triathlon.
Oh, awesome. Amazing.
Yeah. So I've stopped running and cycling now. It
Yeah.
wasn't really a conscious decision, but I got a puppy, so
Oh,
I couldn't run him for the first year. So I kind of more got into walking. So a lot
yeah.
of people just think I do walking, but I did actually do an Ironman once, which
Wow.
was probably the hardest thing I've ever done.
Even thinking of it makes it like I'm thinking, oh my goodness,
Yeah.
that's so impressive.
But it was really interesting because I was working in corporate business at the time,
Yeah.
and it was really interesting to see the sort of things that you need to do within a triathlon and the things you need to do to prepare for it
Mm-hmm.
really relate to business as well.
Yeah.
So it was all about strategy. It was all about working out the things that you had control over and the things you didn't have control over and how you
Yeah.
sort of mitigated risk and things like that. So
Yeah.
I have learned loads doing my triathlon that I then carried over into business.
Wow. Okay, look, let's put that on hold for a bit because I'd
Yeah.
love to explain, like hear more about it. I'm sure people in the crowd would love to kind of hear how that resonated and how that translated over. But tell us more about you, and then we can kind of get deeper into the marketing side of things before we jump back
Yeah.
into the Ironman stuff.
Absolutely, yeah. So I run a small business called Bryony Makes Marketing Easy. I'm also currently freelancing in the corporate world, which I'm desperate to get out of, but it's paying the bills at the moment because my business is quite young. So I work in pharmaceutical marketing, which I've done for 25 years, as you said before. And if anyone is going to overcomplicate anything, the pharmaceutical industry will. So I've seen marketing scale. It's just so flipping complicated, and we're doing all these things that we probably don't really need to be doing. Um, and I've got a terrible memory for jargon and processes. So I could never remember like what all the fancy words meant and the processes we were meant to be following. So I don't want to say winged it, but I kind of got away with doing things my way. And that said, I had a really successful career, which has just led me to believe that actually marketing can be easy. Um, and then I've got quite a few friends who have their own small businesses, and they always say to me, "Oh, my business could be so much more successful if I just knew how to market it properly." And that's when I kind of came up with the idea of helping small business owners make marketing easy.
Yeah, incredible. Amazing. I love that so much. So tell us more about like some of the tips and tricks that you've given to your business, like, co-workers or colleagues,
Yeah.
to make their life a little bit easier when it comes to, growing their business.
Yeah, so my biggest tip is around social media because even as a marketer myself, I can find the amount of work you feel you need to put into social media completely overwhelming. It feels like it's a constant 24/7 process. So my biggest insider tip is that you don't need to be everywhere on social media, just two platforms are enough. But it's about finding the right two platforms where your ideal client is hanging out. So you'll only find me on Facebook and Instagram. I do have a LinkedIn profile, but I don't really use it. And that was more for my pharmaceutical type of work.
Hmm.
So it's about working out where your ideal client is and just reducing it down to those two platforms because it makes it so much more manageable. You spend less time doing it and you can spend more time creating great products and selling.
Yeah, okay, amazing. Okay, so tell us more about, making sure we don't have to be everywhere and just keeping to the same or just sticking to two platforms. Tell us how that's
Yeah.
helped you and how that's helped other clients as well.
Well, it's massively reduced my workload, my stress, and my overwhelm.
That's
So,
great.
yeah, I mean, this isn't my first small business. I've actually set up two others. One was for me, and one was for somebody else. And that somebody else, I grew their business to a 50K business in the first year, and I was doing all their digital marketing for them. But I was doing whilst I was still in my corporate career, so I had to learn how to streamline.
Mm,
Um, and quite a few years ago, actually, I started a blog and my I wanted to monetize the blog, but I also wanted it to become well known enough so that I could then write a recipe book. I've always wanted to write a recipe book. I don't know why, but I have. And so I was trying to be everywhere on social media then. I had to get my head around Pinterest, which was relatively new at the time, and I just didn't get. I was on Instagram, I was on Facebook, I was on Twitter, I was on LinkedIn, and it was just too much. You just can't do it all. So just by streamlining, and also if your ideal client isn't on those platforms, you're just talking to nobody. So what's the point? So it's just about streamlining to where your ideal client is. So, and I have a free guide that actually helps you to work out which are the two best platforms for your business.
hmm hmm
So I can give you the link for that, and you're welcome to give that to your listeners because it is a bit of a game changer. I've had some really good feedback on it.
Yeah,
So yeah, it's
absolutely.
about reducing stress and overwhelm, and that's two things I'm actually really passionate about: is reducing stress and improving work-life balance. Because in the corporate world, I've suffered with the negative impacts of both of those. So
Hmm
I
hmm
I often see small business owners who are trying to do it all, and I really want to help them to get that balance.
Yeah, yeah, I love that so much. I mean, like I'm just thinking now, I know that I'm definitely one who tends to think, oh, let's try get into everything and do everything. And I kind of stumbled onto that loophole because and then I did burn out, posting on 5 times a
Yeah,
week on three different platforms and adjusting all the different content for all three different
yeah,
platforms or whatever. It gets intense and it's okay at the
yeah,
start when you don't have your clients and then and sales and marketing all this kind of stuff, but I think for me I can totally relate to the fact that okay, stick with two, like three
yeah,
max, absolute max. But yeah, that's a really really good tip. I love that, and I love
yeah.
that
Well,
fact that you've got a guide.
well, that actually brings me on to another top tip because you said you were trying to post 5 times a week. My other tip is be consistent, not constant. So you don't have to post every day. You
Right.
just need to post on the same days at the same time so your audience know when to expect you. And the number of times that you post in a week is really down to your ideal client and knowing what they would want. So
Mm,
my ideal client is a busy small business owner. They don't want to be looking at my posts every single day because they haven't got time to read them all.
yep.
So I try and post 2 or 3 times a week just so that I don't overwhelm them.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, and so is
And
two
it,
or
it
three enough? It's really
yeah,
like breaking the
definitely.
mold of what we've been hearing or I've been
It
hearing
is.
anyway.
Yeah, yeah. And it's about quality over quantity, isn't it?
Mm, mm.
Because also if you're trying to post 5 times a week, you do start kind of running out of things to say, where I can consolidate mine into three good quality posts that add value to my client and doesn't overwhelm them.
Yeah, okay. All right, no, perfect. I love that so much. So we've got things like selecting your platform, two platforms, only posting like three or times a week, like quantity,
Well,
quality over
that
quantity.
yeah, that 3 times a week is for my ideal client, but you need to understand your ideal client and what they would want. So if
Mm,
they did want 5 times a week, that's absolutely fine. They might even only want 1 times a week. It's just understanding who they are and what they need.
yeah. Okay. Okay. Perfect. And so, in order for some businesses to get to understanding the target audience and understanding what they need, I think that in itself is an activity, and
It
a
is. It's
journey
a
in
massive
itself.
activity. When I did it, I wrote 100 points about my ideal client.
Wow.
So you have to get granular, you have to go deep.
Yeah.
Um, Actually, I should probably do that as my next lead magnet, is what the prompts for understanding your ideal client.
Yeah, you put that down. That's
Yeah,
great. I love that so
yeah,
much. And so, like give us more tips around or suggestions, or maybe even tell us your story
yeah,
as to how you even got to your ideal client in the first place. I mean, that's hard
yeah.
for some.
So, well, when you start doing your the points about your ideal client, very often you'll get about a quarter to a halfway through, and you'll realize that your ideal client is a version of you. So maybe a version of you in the past, or the version of you now or in the future. And once you get to
Yeah.
that point, it gets pretty easy because you know what you at that point wanted. But you need to look at, obviously, you look at the general things like, oh, just another thing to say about ideal client is it can either be the person who's most likely to buy from you, or it could be the person that you most want to work with. Because when you own your own small business, you have choices. So you choose who
Mm,
you work with. Um, so mine was a bit of a mishmash of the two, really. And you obviously start looking, okay, how old are they? What gender are they, or how do they identify themselves? Um, and then by their age, you're going to have a good idea of whether they'll be married or single, whether they'll have a family,
hmm
how they got to their business journey. So, what's their past like? And then you want to look at how do they make their decisions? What are their buying habits? What encourages them to buy? Um, what hobbies do they have? What do they like?
mm,
Where do they shop? So where do they shop's quite a key one, because then you know kind of how you pitch your product and the level of quality of product that they want. Um, and then you're getting into things about, how affluent are they? How do they spend their money? Um, what what is their biggest problem in life that they need to solve?
hmm
So that's really useful here. It's something like, I don't have enough time, because if you can
Yeah.
save them time, you're
hmm
onto a winner.
Yeah.
So it's all those sorts of things, really, but it is really deep. But
Yeah. Yeah. I
I'd
mean,
say don't stress about it, because if you can't write 100, because you're not quite sure of all the points, just write as many things as you want, but just go a lot more deeper than she's female, she's 40, and
yeah.
she's divorced, or whatever it is.
Yeah. I mean, like the fact that you say 100, right? One, first of all, sounds like, wow, overwhelming. But at the same time,
Mm.
it also sounds like, wow, that's an activity that I actually do need to think about,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. I did it. I think it took me probably half a day.
Yeah. Yeah.
Once you get going, you can rattle it out quite quickly.
Yeah. But yeah.
Yeah.
And it's still, yeah, it's still 100, I suppose. But
Yes.
yeah, okay. No, it's still great activity. I love that so much. So I guess from that point, from that finding the ideal client from those 100 points, what next?
It's all about laying the foundations for effective consistent marketing. So there are a lot of points you can do to lay the foundations before you even start talking to someone, because marketing is actually really easy. All it is communication, and we all communicate with people every day. So I think that a lot of people get put off by the word marketing. I don't actually like the word marketing, but I've not
Mm,
fathomed anything else that I can call it. So that's what I call it. But it's about knowing all the things about your business before you start to do the marketing. So it's things like your niche. So you have to niche down to a particular niche, the problem that you can solve. So that burning problem that needs to be solved now, your ideal client, what they want, what they love, what they don't want, um, what your mission is for your company, what your vision is, so where you want it to go, what your core values are.
hmm
There's loads of other bits and pieces which I've actually got in a very low ticket product that I sell, which is a prompt a day for 30 days to lay down the foundations of marketing.
Yeah.
But once you've got all that, out of that should fall one word, one or two, but try to go for one word that underpins everything that you do in your business. So, for instance, my one word is simplicity. So I
Right.
know that everything I do, create, say needs to be simple.
Okay.
And that's really, really helpful, because when you're writing your posts, you just have to have that in mind, and it really helps you formulate it. And the other thing is when you're doing your 100 points for your ideal client is understanding how they speak so that you can
Mm,
resonate with them. So they might be quite professional and quite scientific, so that's how you would need to speak, or they might be quite casual and a little bit sweary, and that's how you would need to speak because you need to resonate with that client. But also, it needs to be something you're comfortable doing. So if you're not comfortable being a little bit sweary, I suggest you don't do that, but you need to
yeah,
be casual with them. And once you know that, so in the industry we call it tone of voice, but I just
yeah,
like to keep things simple and say, how do you want to speak to your client? And once you've got that, um, it's really then easy to write your posts because you know how you want to say them.
yeah.
And in Canva, I'm an absolute lover of Canva. Canva Pro is definitely worthwhile. I'm not
Yes.
an affiliate, I just love it. But you can set up your brand in Canva and you can put in your tone of voice and then
Yep.
you can click the button. So anything you've written, it just turns it into your tone of voice. So it just makes it really easy.
Really? You can do that?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow. Gosh. And then has that helped you in terms of accelerating your content creation time?
Definitely, because I don't think too much when I'm writing a post. I just write down the message that I want to get across, then I click my button and they put it into the words that will hopefully resonate with my ideal client.
Yeah, okay. Wow. I mean, amazing, amazing. I love that so much. So there's some good tips in terms of that. And I really like how you said what how you channeled or did some activities which the audience can do to simplify and
Yeah,
narrow down the words or
yeah,
a word that you would use and base your brand off. I think that's so cool and I think that's so unique and again, simple. Simple way to kind of
yeah.
set that foundation.
It's just one thing a day. You probably need about an hour tops to do that one thing. So you need to
Yep.
set aside some time a day. You
Yep.
definitely need a new notepad so you can,
Yes.
because I say you write everything in one notepad because you're going to want to refer to it quite a few times. And like as your business develops year on year, you might want to tweak it a little bit.
Yep. Yep.
But in 30 days, you've got the foundations laid for easy, consistent marketing.
Oh wow. Okay, amazing. I love that so much. And so, you know, you said that, you talked all about building the foundations and setting the scene up and finding your ideal audience. So why should people build a foundation? I mean, what could go wrong if people don't build that foundation? There we go. That's a better
Yeah, so
question.
if you don't build that foundation, your marketing and your messaging is going to be really inconsistent. You're not going to resonate with the person who's most likely to buy with you or who you want to work with the most. And when you're inconsistent, your audience doesn't understand who you are, what you do, and why they should work with you. So
Hmm.
it's really, really important you get that consistency and you resonate with the people who need to work with you.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, amazing. And so, if they don't have that consistent messaging, what else? If they don't have attract the right clients, what other things could kind of go a little bit belly up when they don't have those foundations?
The whole point of business is we want to make money, let's be real. So you're not going to be you're not going to be selling things if you can't get your messaging right.
Yeah.
So I know that people sometimes get confused between sales and marketing, and often sales and marketing get lumped together.
Mm.
But there is a difference, and there's a really succinct way to say it, in that marketing encourages and sales convert. So
Mm.
when you're selling, you're telling the person, this is what I've got, this is why you need it. Do you want to buy it? That's selling. But everything you do before that to
Hmm.
encourage these people into your world, to get them to know, like, and trust you, that's marketing. And you can't have one without the other.
Mm.
Because if you try selling without marketing, it's a bit like you walking down the street, someone jumping out of a shop with a loudspeaker going, buy this scarf, and then jumping back into their shop. And you'll just think, oh my God, what the hell was that? And run away. But
Yeah.
if that person had come out to you and started having a conversation with you and asking you questions and finding out about what you like and things like that. And then they say, well, actually, I've got this scarf that I think would really suit you.
Hmm.
You're more likely to stick around, have a look at the scarf and decide whether you want to buy it or not.
Yeah. Yeah. So true. So true. So it's like, I think it's a really important point that you raised there around marketing and sales go hand in hand. And I think a lot of the
Yeah.
time that the thinking is it's just marketing, but then there's
Mm.
influencers who don't know how to sell, and then there's sell it's people who sell, but they don't know how to attract an
Yeah.
audience,
And
so
that's a point. You can't have say you just did marketing, you didn't do any selling, you're going to have this lovely audience of really engaged people, but they're still not going to buy from customers who haven't told them why they need it. So you have
Yeah.
to have the two together.
Yep. 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 Okay. Yeah, of course. And so, in order to get the kind of combination between the two and that consistency, right? What do you kind of recommend for people to kind of start to see how they can kind of marry that marketing and sales
Yeah.
together?
Yeah. So you have to start with marketing. You have to build your audience, but more importantly, you have to really nurture your audience.
Mm,
So
mm-hmm,
people buy from people they know, like, and trust. And they're not going to buy you if they don't have those three things. So all your marketing needs to be around that. And there are actually three types of messaging that help people to buy. So one's your primary messaging, which tells people what you do.
mm-hmm,
Then you've got your secondary messaging, and this is the one that's probably the most important because this is where you tell people what your values are, because people will only buy from you if your values align.
yeah, true.
So this will be about the things you stand for. So I've already told you that I'm really passionate about reducing stress and improving work-life balance. So anyone else who is passionate about that is going to align with me. But
Mm-hmm,
it could also be about say a charity that you support. So I'm not
mm,
saying that you have to overtly put a post on saying, I support this charity, aren't I great? But you could just weave it into other posts that you do.
yeah,
So for instance, there's Lisa Johnson, who's a really, really top business strategist, and she's really anti-bullying, and she
mm-hmm,
supports an anti-bullying charity, and she often does posts about anti-bullying. But at the moment, she's doing something that I absolutely love, in that she gets trolled a lot online because she's so big online,
yeah.
and she takes the best troll statements and puts them onto a t-shirt and then sells the t-shirts, and 5% of the profit goes to her anti-bullying charity.
Oh, wow.
So
Yeah, okay.
it's one, it's fun; two, it's funny; three, you get some great t-shirts; but four, she's really setting out her stall in that she will not tolerate bullying.
Mm,
So
mm-hmm,
that's your secondary messaging. And then your tertiary messaging are how people get to kind of recognize you and sort of align with you again,
yeah,
is that it's your, I like to call them your quirks. So it's things that people say. If say you went to your best friends and said, when you hear my name, what do you think of? It would be
mm,
that sort of thing. So for
mm,
me, everybody knows that I love a spreadsheet, both inside and outside of work, and that I need to be in bed by 9 p.m. So they're my quirks. And for other people, it might be something slightly more exciting, like they
yeah,
like downing tequilas or
yeah,
something like that. But
yeah,
you kind of, yeah, you kind of weave those into your messaging as well. So people kind of think, oh, I really know her. I
yeah.
like her and I'd like to work with her.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. Oh, amazing. I like that so much. You've kept it really easy to kind of like narrow it down. So I guess my next question is, if it was to come down to a strategy or a content calendar with the primary, secondary, and tertiary messages, how often should they do the primary? How often should they do the tertiary, secondary? Do you have like a framework that
So
people could follow?
I would say, yeah, secondary is the most important, your primary is the second most important, and your tertiary is the third most important.
Mm-hmm.
But the way I kind of set out my messaging calendar is it all boils down to what my business goals are. So I start with
Yeah.
my business goals. So what do I need to achieve this year? And they could be financial or non-financial. So I might say, right, I want to earn 90K and I want to grow my email list to 1,000. They're
Mm-hmm.
my two goals. And then I work out how can I do that. So I look at all the marketing activities I've done before, strip out the ones that didn't work, keep the ones that did work, and then I try and think of some new ones.
Mm-hmm.
Then I work out for my financial goals. Um, what products do I sell? How much do they cost? How much can I sell of them? See where that gets to me to financially. If there's a shortfall, then I need to work out how am I going to fill that shortfall. So
Yeah.
can I charge more for what I'm already selling?
Yeah.
Can I create something new that I could also sell?
Mm-hmm.
Are there people that have bought one thing that not the other that I can sort of upsell to? So
Yeah.
then I get to my financial goal, and then I map out all I do. I'm not very professional with this. I get an A4 piece of paper, I write the months down the side, And then I say, right, in this month I'm selling this, and this month I'm selling this, and this month I'm selling this.
Yeah.
And then my marketing falls around that. So say in July, I want to sell my Master Your Marketing in 30 days.
Yeah.
Everything that I talk about in June needs to be around the importance of laying the solid foundations for my marketing, so
Mm.
that when I start to sell, people are already bought into the idea that they need to do it. And it's kind of no-brainer for them to buy.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
so that in June, I'm not selling anything. I'm just literally talking about the importance of it. So it's all value adding posts. And in those value adding posts, in your product, you can weave in your values. And then when it comes to July and you do your launch, I probably only launch for about a week because I don't want to keep hammering my clients
Of course.
every every week.
Of
I do
course.
my 1 week of buy it, buy it, buy it, and then I'll go on to my next section of marketing. So I'll look, right, what's the next thing I'm selling? I'm selling my one-to-one 90-minute business boost. So I'll get people thinking about what their burning problems in business, where do they need support, all of that sort of stuff. I say, by the way, I'm available for some one-to-one work. They're already bought into the idea that they want to buy it.
Okay, all right, amazing. Oh gosh, there's so much to tap into this, and I'm actually sad that there's not enough time to dive more into
I
it. But
know.
I guess all these years of knowledge that you've kind of just like really kind of just touched the tip of the iceberg just in this episode
Yes.
today. So I
Yeah.
guess for those of you them listening, how can they find out more information about you, Bryony?
So you can find me on Facebook in the Easy Peasy Marketing Group for small business owners. So that's my free group, wonderfully supportive group where we just talk about all things marketing. I don't have a website yet. It's on my radar to do. I will get there one day. And my free guides are all on there. So they'll be if you click on the cover pic, you'll see the links to my free guides. And there'll be posts about my products that I also sell. So I'm currently selling my Master Your Marketing in 30 days and a 90-minute business boost.
Amazing, amazing. Thank you so much. All right, I'll look at what I'll do is I'll have all those descriptions in the all those links in the description, and also
Yes,
your
do.
freebie as well with around there was a freebie that you were offering as well around how to
Yeah,
actually
I'd say if you do one thing from this podcast,
yeah.
download the free guide, say goodbye to social media stress because it's an absolute game changer.
Yeah. Okay, done. Done, done. No worries. I'll actually go out and
Done.
download that myself right now.
Brilliant.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Bryony. And look, any last words before we actually close off on this show today?
Yeah, just don't sweat the small stuff. Marketing is not as difficult as you probably think it is.
Mm,
Just look at it as communication,
yep.
keep it simple, be consistent, not constant, and just have fun with it.
Oh, I love it. I love it. Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure, and we'll talk again in the next episode, I'm sure.
I'd love to. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for tuning in. I really appreciate you listening into the show today. And if you did like our content, please like, share, and subscribe to this podcast or this YouTube series so that way we can keep giving you more content and sharing you more knowledge around how to scale your sales online. And if you are wanting to boost your sales online, please sign up to our e-sales school where you will learn to automate and navigate your way around in this digital marketplace. Thank you so much once again. I really appreciate you joining in today. And remember to keep selling, keep having fun, and keep being you.